If we come to the history of the anatomy, the past is not dead history, it is the living material out of which man builds for the future. Rene Dubus. So, by this quotation, you can understand. So, we'll directly jump into the topic. Early civilization, Sushruta, the father of surgery, like the father of surgery, Indian surgery, it's also called as like father of plastic surgery. First plastic surgery was done by the Sushruta. He's the author of the treatise, the Sushruta Samhita. We all know that, right? He's the great surgeon of India. In those days itself, in 1000 BC, the contribution to the anatomy described 300 bones, about 500 muscles in the body, right? See, like most of the some changes are made, some may be wrong. But he attempted to contribute to the subject, right? So described blood vessels and called the dhamnis and siras. Majority of his contributions are treated in the described in the Sushil Samhita. So described various organs of the body like lungs, rectum, urinary bladder, uterus. He has described about those organs. Described various joints of the body. Recorded weight of the tongue and length of the intestine. In those days only he has recorded. See, he is like Ayurvedic in the surgeon. He used to practice Ayurveda. Sushil Samhita, anatomy, Sharirasthana. So, Sharirasthana, he had included the anatomy of these in these books. So, in Grecian period, if you come to the Grecian period, Hippocrates, we all know, right? Modern medicine. In modern medicine, we lot hear about Hippocrates. So, Hippocrates is 460 to 3000 BC, 3700 BC. He's a Greek physician and the father of medicine. You have to remember principles of practical medicines. He has formulated some practical medicines, practical approaches to some diseases at those days itself. So Hippocratic oath, because due to gratitude for him, we most of the medical colleges students take a oath like Hippocratic oath, and he formulated humoral theory, human body humors. Like earlier, this is failed, but he contributed. He like described about that like body is made of humors that are blood, phlegm, yellow bile, black bile. These four humors, disorientation or any like malformations or malfunctioning leads to the disease he formulated. So physiological and pathological basis of health and disease are these four itself. The changes in these four itself will lead to disease. He has formulated. Later it got disproved. So blood, phlegm, yellow blood, like balance. He had, if it is balance only, there will be a good health. So he has told like that, but it's not true. So proper diet, hygiene, lifestyles, everything he have told, general aspects. So the concept of humor discarded, yes, eventually. So the great contribution was disease. The greatest contribution was disease. Natural causes, application of reason to logical disease. Like if a disease happened, so logical thinking and not superstition way, he has formulated some reasons. Okay, this happened because of this, because of that. So he is the first to apply that scientific medicine. And the next is the Aristotle. Like he's a Greek philosopher and zoologist too. So he studied mainly on animals. Majorities of his contributions were from animals, like careful examination on animals with reference to the human beings, right? With reference to the human beings, he have contributed. So like embryology, wrote first ever book, like the development of heart in an embryo, first described by him only. So you have to remember that. Named Iota. Iota was named by him and differentiated the arteries from veins. In those days, there is not much technical that this is vein, this is artery. They don't know. They don't know. Don't know. So he described like arteries. These are veins. So they carry oxygenated blood, they carry deoxygenated blood, like that he have described somewhat. So errors in the anatomy. Of course, according to him, the heart was the seat of the intelligence, was not brain. So he also made errors. Like in those days, there is no that much technology, right? So he also made errors. Like according to him, heart was the seat of intelligence, not brain. But actually, brain is the seat of intelligence, right? So first use term anatomy. That cutting up first term used by the Aristotle only. So the Hierophilus, if you come next, Hierophilus, it's a great teacher of anatomy. He practiced, like he taught anatomy in the schools of Alexandria of medicine. Dissections of human cadaver and of living human beings. Vivisections, this is very important. Vivisections were done by him and taught by him to the many. The contributions like Hierophilus provided skull, eye, various visual organs, description functional relationships of spinal cord to the brain, descriptions and their relations. He has described everything through his dissections and studies. Herophilus regarded the brain as the seat of intelligence. The first correction made was the Herophilus regarded the brain as the seat of intelligence, not the heart, and described many structures like cerebrum, cerebellum, fourth ventricles were also described by him. And first identify nerves, like there will be sensory and a motor nerve. He described, identified a monumental work like on the anatomy and on the eyes. The title will made like on anatomy and on the eye. And if you come to the Roman period, the Claudius Galen is a Roman physician. He's a Roman physician, and the medical subjects at those time like anatomy, physiology, pathology, symptomology, treatment, voluminously theorized. Like he has subdivided, like there will be anatomy separately discussed about the structures and the functions that separately dedicated, like it's a physiology and a pathology. So like he described, he segregated everything. So like some errors, he also made some errors, like for 1500 years Galen, like his writings were taken as an unquestionable authorities on anatomy and medical test. Of course his work is like praised very much, but some errors he also made. And we come to Renaissance period, Leonardo da Vinci. Renaissance period, Leonardo da Vinci is an Italian genius. Of course, he's in everything. You have heard about his paintings, arts, right? So, Italian genius. As an anatomist, Leonardo da Vinci observed dissections on cadavers very carefully, like intended to publish a textbook on anatomy, but though it doesn't happen because some reasons. But he 60 notebooks of 1500 of anatomy diagrams were he drawn with his own hands and described about those. In 1983 later was published, like after his death these were disappeared, they were unnoticed, but after in 1988 they were republished later and they're discovered later. So structural relations of many organs illustrations he had drawn with his own hands and he incorporated in that books notebooks. The cross sectional anatomy, of course cross sectional anatomy also he had drawn the illustrations. Moderator band of the right ventricles also he has described, constructed different modes of the heart valve's actions. And in 16th centuries, Andre Vesalius, you have to note this, you have to have a look on him because he's born in physician family. He's a professor of anatomy at the University of Padua in Italy. Okay, it's of course you can study. He performed human dissections and initiated the use of live models to determine the structural landmarks of internal structures. This is very important. So anatomical treatise De Humani Corporis Fabrica Libris Septum on the working of the human body, like it's 7 volumes, corrected Galen's error in anatomy. Galen's error work is corrected by him. Father of modern anatomy is called as father of modern anatomy, also called as reformer of anatomy, because through the human dissections he determined, through the live models he determined the surface landmarks of the internal structures. That's why he regarded the father of modern anatomy. Okay. So if you come to the 17th and 18th centuries, science of anatomy attained great acceptance and status in this era. The human dissections were demonstrated to the public and awareness is being made. And two most important contributions during this period was explanation of blood flow, development of microscope. This is very important. So the William Harvey, the British anatomist in 1628 AD, conducted experiments on motion of the heart and blood in the animals and published the data containing the circulation of blood within the blood vessels. He contributed, like he demonstrated, described, credited for providing physiological functional orientation to the anatomy. William Harvey, blood circulation, you have to remember it. And Anton von Leeuwenhoek, you all know, he's a Dutch lens maker. Microscope, he discovered simple microscope, improved, attached a magnification up to, achieved a magnification up to 270. Development of microscope added an entirely new dimension to the study of anatomy. Here, the revolution started because of the invention of the microscope. Many advances have been made. Furthermore, contribution like development of the techniques for tissues, examining tissues and description of blood cells, spermatozoa, skeletal muscles, many more. He actually contributed this only, but many more after him had came. So Marcello Malfigi, Italian anatomist, father of histology. You have to remember it. Malfeasance corpuscles of the kidneys. So by his name only to its gratitude. the Malpighian corpuscles of the kidney. So his name has incorporated Malpighian body of the spleen, like name is associated. And John Hunter, see, is a surgeon, scientist, developed humanitarian Hunterian museums in London and Glasgow. Like museums were made, displayed the various organs and body parts are very displayed to the everyone. So Hunter's Canal, a dirter canal by named by him, like named on him. The study of the capillary system of deer, treatment of aneurysm, like his contribution of the study of capillary system of deer, like he studied about that is now helpful in treatment of aneurysms. So this is very important. William Conrad Roentgen. So it's very important because X-rays discovered X-rays accidentally, but those accidental X-rays are now very much useful in the medical field. So German physicist is a physicist officially. So the clinical anatomy medicine will be very useful. These X-rays. First, you should detect bone fractures. These X-rays assess the extent of tuberculosis. Yes, tuberculosis of lung estimated. The first Nobel Prize in Physics in the year 1901. You have to remember him. And Anatomy Act in London in 1832. It's very important. Of course, it's very critical also at those days. From 1750 to 1832 AD, the selling of dead bodies flourished because anatomy was greatly flourishing in those time. In that time, so demand for dead bodies is very much increasing. People are started to buy those dead bodies and study the anatomy. Somewhere thefted, like somewhere robbed those bodies and studied. So immensely in the Great Britain and Ireland, people went to an extent like they should murder some people and to study the anatomy, the unknown people. So resorted to murder for obtaining dead bodies or graveyards. The bodies those were buried under the soil, they are digging and they're taking up and they're studying anatomy. They are robbing those dead bodies. So in 1928, Brooke and Hare convicted for 16 murders. They are convicted for making 16 murders, led to the intact of Anatomy Act because of those horror things that are happening. So the Anatomy Act 1832 in London was made, like not dead bodies are not to be robbed or thefted, or murder is illegal. And if you want to study anatomy, the medical schools are providing anatomy to study, so you have to study there itself. So some rules and acts are made. So again, next is the Gregor John Mendel. You'll be hearing his name since childhood, right? So experiments of plant hybridization, father of genetics. So other anatomist contributions like D. Graff, Spallanzani, and Francis Gleason's Thomas Willis, like D. Graff described ovaries, Spallanzani showed that both sperm and ovum are necessary for conception. So Francis Gleason's capsule, you know, right? Described in the liver, gallbladder, stomach, intestine, and like kidney. Thomas Willis published summary on the nervous system. And in the 19th century, major contributions in 19th century, of course, major contributions that came and advances that came in 19th century itself. Formulation of the cell theory and its implications in understanding of the structure and function of the body. It made a rapid change. So anatomy is a comparative science, study is a comparative science. Dissection was made compulsory for medical students during this period. Dissection was made compulsory for medical student graduation. So Alistair Cooper and George Cuvier, Meckel, Herney Gray, nodal understanding of these centuries. Especially Henry's Gray's Anatomy. You have been heard, right? Gray's Anatomy textbooks. This much volume textbook, very big textbook. English anatomist and surgeon book, Gray's Anatomy. He has incorporated with his friend. So a textbook called Gray's Anatomy. And 20th century, if you come to 20th century, electron microscope was discovered and the study of the anatomy specialized and researchers flourished. Electron microscope in depth you can study. So the study of anatomy is developed very uniquely. So simplification and standardized in nomenclature because the structures and everything, every anatomical or medical terms have been nomenclatured. Like nomenclature has been added, so it will be very easy for oral students or any scientist, anyone can call that structure or part, or that the terminology is same for everyone. New imaging techniques, as I already said, CT scan, ultrasonography, MRI, PET scan, etc. So this radiological anatomy, new imaging techniques also been advanced in the 20th century. And 20th century, current century, new virtual reality used to perform dissection of cyber cadavers, like digitally cadavers are like dissection is made on the cadavers digitally without the cadaver. What will say that virtually. So this is happening now. Now means it's in some premium institution foreign, not here. So in future, of course, after 20 years or 15, 20 years, this will be also common in the medical schools. And 20th century, you will also be. So this is it for the first chapter. And second chapter, we'll learn about anatomical terminology that will be very useful throughout your medical career, because those terms will be used in your medical career itself. Always you will be use that terms, so that will be very useful. We'll want to make short on that. So as we said at the end of the chapter, we'll do the MCQs. First one, see, the term anatomy is derived from the Greek word anatome, meaning to cut up. Option B. Second one, what is not true about Hippocrates? Option B, he had wide exposure to human dissections. That is not, because at each time he didn't expose to human dissections. He just gave the disease hypothesis. That's it. So option B. Third one, the anatomical masterpiece De Humani Corporis, fabric was written by option D. Vesalius. Fourth one, who is regarded as father of modern anatomy? Option D. Vesalius. Fifth one, who is regarded as father of histology? Option B. Malfigi, Marcello Malfigi. This is very important. Sixth one, the X-rays were discovered by A. Roentgen. The remaining three MCQs you try on your own and comment in the section below of all these answers also.